Hey everyone! This is a special video that I want to do for everyone because I would like to introduce you to a new card game. This is an online collectible card game that I recently have found, and I've just absolutely fallen in love with it. So because of that, I wanted to share it. BXA nor I got any special compensation or sponsorship or anything from the developers or Nibla Games who make this game here, but I do just love it so much that I wanted to share it and introduce all of you to it so that hopefully some of you will fall in love with it as well. In this video, I will just kind of introduce the game, talk about what makes it different from other card games, and show a little bit of in-game play and some different footage, so please enjoy. I also do want to specify that all of the information being given and the in-game footage or any images shown were all recorded during the closed beta, so anything, card names or wording, features, keywords, anything like that could potentially change before the official release of the game, so just want to make sure everyone is aware of that. Causa Voices of the Dusk is a new CCG being produced by Nibla Games from Chile, South America, and it is just a beautiful game all around, beautiful artwork, wonderful music, and there are some differences between this CCG and others that are already in the genre. So let's take a deeper look into some of those differences. Just like many other card games, at the beginning of the game there is what is referred to as a Mulligan Phase, in which the player can choose which cards to keep and which cards to get rid of. But during the play, there's a few differences as well. So similar games might have a mana that is needed, or cards that you have to put in your deck to play out and use. However, Causa does this a little bit differently. Well, maybe quite a bit differently. So with Causa, each leader has a cause pile over to the right side, and every turn you can put one card into your cause from either your hand or a card that is already on board, and this cause stacks up per card in the pile, so 1, 2, 3, etc. And this allows you to actually play cards with that cost or less during the turn that you have that cost. So if you have 3 cards in your cause, you can play anything that costs 3, 2, 1, or 0. Now in Causa, you can only play 2 cards per turn, unless of course you have other cards that allow you more plays per turn. But the starting is 2 per turn. Adding to your cause does not count towards those 2, and it's not a resource like mana that is used up when you play something. So if you have a cause of 2, you can play 2 different cards that each cost 2. It doesn't have to be used up. So this is a fantastic difference from other card games. It just adds a completely different level of depth and decision making when deciding what cards to put in your cause and when you need to add cards to the cause to build that up. Now, going off of the cause, there are a few other things along with that. So every leader, every power in the game, there are 4 different powers with multiple leaders per power. When you build a deck, you pick your leader that you will be playing with. Each leader has different decisions to make that are based off of cause, and this goes throughout each game. So a leader might have a decision to make at 2, 4, and 8. Now, the cause builds up when you put cards in the pile, and the decision you can only use on that turn that you have that amount. So if you put a second card into your cause pile and get it to 2 cause, you have to make your decision at that 2 cost that same turn. Otherwise, you lose that ability, that chance to use that decision the cards that are put into the cause aren't completely lost either. It's not like you're completely discarding them or removing them from the game. It's kind of just like a reserve pile. So you actually can require these cards from the cause pile later in the game or at any point that is not the same turn that you put it into the cause. So again, this adds another level of depth and strategy because you can choose, hey, I have this 7 cost card, I'm going to put it into my cause pile. Well, once you build that cause up to 7, you can actually take it out of the pile, use that require ability, and it plays that card for you. So there is a level of strategy there that just builds up over the game. And also the dev team has said that they will be adding in cards that play off of this mechanic with features that might let you require in the same turn that you played it, or special effects happen if you put certain cards into your cause or require them from the cause. Really looking forward to see what else they can do with this mechanic because it really is kind of just so unique from other card games. Now looking at some other things, I already mentioned you can only play up to 2 cards per turn unless you have other cards that give you additional plays for the turn. But every turn, each player will draw back up to 4 cards for their hand. So this is not like traditional games where you only draw once per turn or you might be choosing to draw. Instead, each player is going to draw up to a hand size of 4 unless they already have 4 cards in their hand, and then they actually will draw 1 card to put them to a total of 5. Now you can go above this, but generally you can build your decks in a way that you end up playing all of your cards every turn, and each turn you're drawing 4 cards to rebuild your hand, give you more choices to play that following turn. Another thing along with this too is that there is a limit to how many things you can have on the board. So units are very similar to minions or creatures in other games, and you can only have 4 units on the board at once. And a support card, there's other similar mechanics like these in different card games as well, but these supports kind of stay on the board as well. They are not units that can attack, but they have special abilities or uses that you can use every turn, and you can only have up to 4 supports on the board as well. So you can have 4 units and up to 4 supports on the board at any time. Now, also very similarly to other card games, the units can attack the enemy units or they can attack the enemy leader. There is no blocking phase or anything like that, and damage does stay over the course of multiple turns, so if a unit is damaged, it keeps that damage and does not reset every turn. Also, another feature that goes right along with drawing so many cards per turn, possibly to refill your hand, is the fatigue. Fatigue is when you can no longer draw any cards from your deck. Every card game kind of does fatigue a little bit differently, but in Causa, once you start drawing fatigue, you will take 5 damage per card that you're supposed to draw. So if your deck is not built to continuously add cards back from your discard into your deck, which is also another mechanic that is in the game, then all of a sudden you will start taking large amounts of damage from the fatigue because they have that built-in feature where you draw up to 4 cards. So let's say you have no cards left in your deck, you have 2 cards in your hand, you will be drawing 2 cards technically that start of your turn, so you would end up actually taking 5 damage per card for a total of 10 damage of fatigue that turn. Again, like I mentioned with the cause though, there's so many different mechanics and different strategies that can go along with this. Trying to mill your opponent, which just burns through their deck so that then all of a sudden they're drawing at that fatigue point. There's strategies of drawing through your deck but then shuffling cards back in so that really you never take fatigue damage, and just so many different strategies that can go along with that as well. A lot of different things to think of when playing Causa, and a few other things that I did want to mention here about the game in general. The games themselves generally are fairly quick, and again, this kind of fits back into the drawing up to 4 cards per turn to fill your hand back to that 4. Because each player starts with 30 cards in the deck and generally draws through their deck so quickly, the games do move fairly quickly. There isn't a specific turn timer or any way to indicate how many turns there have been, like in other games that build up 1 mana per turn. So it does get a little bit easy to get lost in the games, and it just feels like a natural flow of the game instead of turn 1, turn 2, etc. It's just more of a flow throughout the game, which feels very, very nice, and also just feeds into the entire environment of the game. The animations and the music, the art styles, everything just flows together very, very well. And as you can see in some of this video, even if you haven't noticed already, the leaders actually are animated, and there are multiple backgrounds that you can choose from and card backs, but the backgrounds that are kind of play mats behind your cards, those are also animated as well, but it's very subtle, and you can focus on those and see the animations, but it's also easy to look back and ignore those animations and just focus on the cards themselves and the gameplay. So they work really well together, very nicely done. And again, this video was just kind of an overview and introduction to Causa, but in other videos I will go into more depth on the powers, leaders, and their decisions, and some different features of the game. So look forward to those. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you get a chance, please get a hold of this game, or look for a way to get a hold of this game. Keep an eye on the developer's Twitter and just watch for it. It is a wonderful, wonderful game. I see so much potential with this game, and I'm just so in love with it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that maybe some of you will fall in love with it as well. Thank you all so much for watching.